Welcome back to Open Line, talking with Tim Takacs, elder care attorney. We want to hear from you. If you're caring for an older loved one, you have questions about paying for the cost of nursing home care, wills, whatever the case may be, Tim Takacs can answer the questions. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Sharon. Hello, Sharon.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Go right ahead.
Okay. I just was wondering about, my husband is a TennCare Choices member, and he is going to be coming from the nursing home pretty soon at home. And he does have a whole life insurance policy of $4,000 from natural causes, but also he has accidental death insurance, which is, if it's a car accident, it's like $40,000. So my question is, would there be I'm disabled myself, a surviving spouse, so is there a penalty with, and I'm on TennCare myself, so is there a penalty with any of that if I were to receive that type of money?
Well, if you are, Sharon, if you're receiving money, or if you're on TennCare, it means that she has a minimal amount of assets and income herself, and so it sounds like her husband has a life insurance policy, which it sounds like it has no cash value. So, which means so he dies, maybe it sounds like he was in an accident or something, and if he passes away as a result of that accident, it pays her $40,000. Well, when she gets that $40,000, she will have to report that to TennCare.
Right.
And she may lose her TennCare benefits as a result. Now, that's the sort of thing where if we're doing, let's say, just a little bit of planning here, where her husband could make out an estate plan where instead of leaving it to her outright, he dies, he leaves a life insurance policy to her in a trust. So that means that she can have that life insurance, the death benefit from that life insurance policy, that $40,000, and since it will not come to her, it will go to a trust. It's really one of those things that we would say that it doesn't change her financial condition, she would not even have to report that to TennCare.
Wow. Wow. Okay, that's interesting.
Because if the trust is set up the right way, the money doesn't belong to her. She would have to go to a trustee, which could be a family member, a child, or somebody else, that would hold the money for her, and could only pay it to her in such a way so that she would so that she could stay on TennCare.
There are probably not many people on TennCare, though, that can afford to set up a trust the right way. They're not visiting lawyers, and they're not setting up trusts.
And that's the hard part, because the problem's going to be, or could be for Sharon, is that, okay, her husband dies, he leaves her $40,000, and she's going, okay, now what do I do with this money? She has to report her change in financial condition to TennCare. Then it's up to TennCare to decide what they're going to do. And TennCare might say, well, we're gonna cut off your benefits. So at that point then Sharon goes, all right, well, what do I do with this money? Do I go set up a trust now? And it's more difficult to do that and could be more expensive to do that instead of if she had done it before her husband passed away.
Right, right.
Okay, so that's why I'm thinking is that, this comes up a lot. Unfortunately, people go, well, I just inherited money and I can't get this money, and what am I going to do with it? Because maybe I need the TennCare benefit because it's my health insurance, it's my medical insurance, and I don't have any other option. And if you lose your health insurance, now you're facing maybe a significant amount of out-of-pocket costs.
Yeah. Well, that is interesting. So there is an answer. But
there is an answer.
You have to plan. Or
at least you have to. And I think that's excellent that Sharon is thinking about that, because she's basically going like a lot of people, going, well, what if I get this money? What's going to happen to my benefits? And is there a way to protect that or shelter that for me? And of course the answer is yes.
All right, let's go to Ann. Hello, Ann.
Yes.
Go right ahead. What's on your mind?
Okay, my mother had passed away, and she had been on the TennCare, and of course it's gotten to the point, where I've had a lawyer appointed for the estate, and they've done the inventory, and I got the letter of sovereignty. My question is that earlier on in talking with TennCare, they said I would be able to recoup the money that I paid in for like the taxes and the upkeep of the house and the utilities, and for like 8 years, because I'd been doing it for 8 years, so it came out of my checking account, not my mother's. And so, well, my question was, do I have to wait till the house is sold before I start trying to do this, and how do I go about recouping that money?
Well, what's happened is, and it sounds like her mother, Ann's mother, was in the nursing home for a long period of time and on Medicaid, and like, unfortunately, like many of our children, see, Medicaid doesn't allow you to keep any money to pay the taxes and the insurance and the upkeep. And what a lot of people don't realize is that a lot of the children don't realize that they're essentially keeping up the house for TennCare.
Oh, wow.
Because Ann says that, well, I talked to somebody at TennCare and they said that that she would be able to get that money first. So basically what that means is that what Ann has to do with an estate being opened, the lawyer I guess they're doing a probate or whatever, Ann has to be basically regarded as a creditor of her mother's estate. So that's where she needs to talk to the lawyer that's helping with the probate and say, how do I file a claim against my mother's estate? I don't think you want to wait until the house is sold, because it might be too late.
Right, right. That's interesting. She has to file a claim against her mother's estate. Yeah. And she would file a claim for just all of her expenses.
Yeah, what she paid out, and then the question then becomes, well, presumably there would be a hearing or whatever, and then the judge would decide, okay, that's a valid claim or not. Now, what I don't know is whether TennCare would come in and contest the claim. Now, TennCare might go, well, we know that when the house is sold, we're not going to give a TennCare release until TennCare's claim is fully satisfied. So maybe the house is worth more than what TennCare's claim would be. But let's say that if the house was worth less than what TennCare's claim would be, TennCare might say as well, our claim has priority over yours.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so let's say that's a $100,000 house, and TennCare paid out $120,000. Well, TennCare is probably going to say, well, we get the first $100,000. And this lady over here, Ann, her claim is subordinate to TennCare's.
Right, right.
So Ann going, wait a minute, I paid all of this out over the last 8 years just to keep the house up for Medicaid? Yes.
And that happens? Oh, that is.
And I may have talked about this before on the one time that I got a call. This was probably been maybe 12, 13 years ago. I got a call from a reporter from the Wall Street Journal, because they knew I did this type of practice, and I don't know how but so about TennCare, about estate recovery. And I said, well, I have a client, she came to me after her mother died, and her mother was on TennCare. And of course, same sort of thing. The daughter had been paying the taxes and the insurance and everything else. And so when she opened up the probate estate, she basically opened it up herself. And at that point, then TennCare came in and filed a claim. Well, to make a long story short, it was a front page on the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah.
And it said, Miss So and So, that when her mother's house was sold to pay TennCare's claim, she had to buy the quilts. She had to buy her mother's quilts because all of it was every asset of the estate had to be used first to satisfy TennCare's claim. And that includes the personal property. That include like I said, she bought her mother's quilts. And that's like back then. That was the sort of thing where there was this whole notion that it was millionaires on Medicaid.
Right.
I mean, we kind of went through that in the late '90s and the early 00s, and so the Wall Street the Journal reporter was basically tasked to, okay, let's talk about the other side, of estate recovery. you know, where family members have to buy the you know, the antiques and the quilts and the personal property, because you can't just give it to the kids. It's part of mom's estate.
And that's still going on.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's scary.
Now,
all right.
Yes.
We'll go. Oh,
Yeah.
there's several people on the line. We have to take a break.
Yeah.
Then we'll come back. Ann, Lolita, others, hold on the line. Take a break. Be back right after this.